it's another day, so that means that there is more book talk drama to talk about. And today I wanted to talk about empathy baiting or pity marketing when it specifically comes to book talk and author talk. Not necessarily every other industry on TikTok. There's a lot of pity marketing happening right now in all different parts of TikTok, but we're just going to focus on the book community. Just so you know, this entire video is just my opinion for entertainment purposes only. Okay, thanks. Now, if you're familiar with rage baiting, that's when a creator says something to intentionally enrage an audience in order to generate clicks and comments on social media. There are entire accounts that just dedicate all of their time to producing rage bait material, and they get a ton of attention and probably a ton of money for doing so. Now we have empathy baiting, and especially when it comes to the book talk community, this is really running rampant right now. You watching this video can probably think of at least 2 creators that use empathy baiting in their marketing as a strategy to sell books. One example would be the old lady who was selling her children's book called Just 'Cause, and her nephew, I believe it was her nephew, created the TikTok and the Instagram and all the social media accounts. And her very first video was just her sitting in a bookstore alone because no one came to her book signing. Now that video was posted back in January of 2025, and since then, it's become overwhelmingly apparent that the video was faked. So this video got so many views, like millions of views, so many likes. It was incredibly well received by the community, and people felt really bad for this woman who was apparently sitting in a bookstore all alone because no one came to her book signing. And well, yes, it's fake. It was completely fabricated. The book signing never occurred. The bookstore wasn't even open. Some savvy individual who happens to live in the very same city where that bookstore is called the bookstore owner because they thought something was up. And the bookstore owner said that the nephew and the aunt actually rented that bookstore for $150 to film on the day, which was Monday, when the bookstore is usually closed. So the bookstore was actually closed. It was just used as a prop, as a pity marketing campaign to get people to buy this book called Just 'Cause, which is a children's book. Now, I'm a person who is incredibly empathetic. So when I see someone is having a really rough time and I just want to help them out, especially when it comes to the author community. When I see they're having a really bad time and something's going wrong in their life, like I just want to do nothing but help. Like I want to be helpful. It really tugs on my heartstrings to see something like that. And there are a lot of other people like me who feel the same way. I have no reason to buy a children's book, and this video didn't actually come across my algorithm until months later when it was actually found out that it was all fake. What's really hard is that this type of marketing campaign is so incredibly dishonest. It's disingenuous. It's a strategy that will not work forever. You may have a lot of short-term success, a lot of views, a lot of likes, a lot of comments on your social media in the short term, but in the long term, it's not sustainable because eventually people on social media will find out the truth because people are inherently distrusting more and more of this type of strategy. And there will be people out there that will watch your video and then do a ton of research to determine if it's real or not. Even if it was a genuine pity marketing strategy where you're having a really bad day and you post about it, you're going to have people come at you saying this isn't real. And if you're not being honest about your situation, you will be found out. The types of things that people can find out online are ridiculous. And I think some people just don't understand that yet or don't care. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, yeah, it gives you a lot of short-term success, followers, views, whatever, but your trust will eventually just deteriorate the second your audience finds out that you were lying. So yeah, the second someone finds out that you were not being truthful, you've lost all trust in your community and your audience, and you might as well kiss that goodbye. You're always going to have that core set of people that are just going to believe in you no matter what, but overall, you're done, you're cooked, it's over. So for example, everyone has found out about this drama, and for some reason they're now giving away this children's book for free all across the world or something, and that's what they're posting about. So I don't know what the intent originally was with this propaganda, if you will. Was it to be incredibly successful on social media, or to sell books? It's not a great, genuine marketing strategy because it's so incredibly short-term focused and it's incredibly risky. But anyways, also another really interesting detail about this particular example of pity marketing is that the woman, her name is Barbara, the older woman, she's apparently very bad at using technology. If you go on the website, she mentions something about thanking her nephew for all the help with the technology surrounding, you know, the promotion of her book. But what's really interesting is that the entirety of these books were created using digital art. So that doesn't make any sense to me. So who did the art? She didn't do the art. Oh well, I digress. It's just a little confusing to me, but we'll brush past that. All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, if you will. It's a huge example of pity marketing happening on TikTok right now, and it comes back, and every year I think there's another instance of this creator doing something ridiculous with pity marketing, and they seem to get away with it a little bit, but now they're starting to get a ton of pushback on what they've been doing. So yes, if you're wondering if I'm talking about Matthew and Paul, I am talking about Matthew and Paul. I admit I used to follow this account. I thought that they seemed genuine in the beginning and I wanted to help them out. I never actually bought the book because it's a children's book. I have no reason to own one of those. But really, their entire strategy, their whole strategy seems to be around pity marketing, using that as their central strategy. And let's break that down a little bit. So a little bit of background on Matthew and Paul is that they seem like a really sweet couple. They're a gay couple, and Paul, I believe, is going blind due to a genetic condition, I believe. I think he's like 95% blind now at this point. And he creates these really cute children's books using a special software that he can use with his blindness. So I believe they have a lot going for them already. These books look genuinely cute. They have cute little drawings. There's nothing wrong with the books as far as I can tell. They look adorable. So why are they using pity marketing as a tool when I don't even think they need to do that? They could just be themselves and people would adore the books and adore them. But this is why we're here talking about them, because they're doing it. They're using a ton of pity marketing tactics. For example, this past June, so just recently, they released a video, Paul did, talking about some issues that they had with a distributor where they were told to rename their book. It was originally called The Pengrooms, like grooms, plural. And they were told that it was too gay or something and to change it. Now that video came across like the distributor told them to change the name because of bigotry or something like that. I don't know. And then Paul was like, now we have boxes and boxes and boxes of all these books that we can't sell anymore because the distributor no longer wants to work with us. Woe is me. Everything is terrible. And he's literally crying. And so someone just scrolling through TikTok comes across a video like that. Your first instinct is going to be empathy. Hopefully most people's instinct is going to be empathy. And then you see that and you realize that something's off, right? Something's off about this. And if you dig into it even just a second, you find that there's some crazy stuff behind the curtain. But then there were authors and people who worked in publishing that came out and spoke about the publishing pipeline in the indie sphere. And they mentioned that this whole situation didn't make any sense. So they were originally talking about wholesaling through Ingram, and Ingram only seems to work with really large retail chains. They do not work directly with independent writers and authors. So something's a little strange there. That's kind of a red flag. And also the whole mentioning of the distributor wanting, Ingram Wholesale wanting them to change their name. Like, a lot of people in publishing, in the author sphere, in the publishing sphere, said like that would never happen. You would never order a whole bunch of books and then be told, oh yeah, that title doesn't work, because you would have been told far in advance at the very early stages of the contract that you need to change the name of the book. So if that would have that just wouldn't have happened, right? Like, it doesn't make sense in that business. In a real situation, they would have known about the requirements way ahead of time before ever getting close to even ordering books and having boxes and boxes of books on hand. They would have already known. So there was just a lack of information. There was some vagueness in that video that came out, and everyone was like, is this real? Like, did this really happen? Something strange about it. Just seemed a little uncanny. Paul comes out and makes a response video about all this that's happening and gave a little bit more information that let the people in the publishing sphere understand what he was originally talking about in his original video. Now, when he did that, he kind of outed himself, because a lot of people watched that and said, oh, what you're talking about is just a normal deal fell through. You didn't purchase boxes and boxes of books. You already had them on hand, and no one said you need to change the name of the book. It was a deal that fell through for other reasons, it sounded like. And it wasn't something that, justified the existence of this pity marketing video and the woe is me and the crying. When people in the publishing sphere watched that video, they said, oh, this is a very normal business occurrence in publishing, and it's actually not a very sad thing. I'm bad at explaining this. I do not work in publishing, but I know at least this bit. So basically what really happened, and it sounds like this really happened, is that Ingram Wholesale actually said that, hey, you don't meet the requirements for working through us in our pipeline. So they kind of rejected them for other reasons. And so whenever Paul heard this, he kind of took that and blew it out of proportion and created a video where he was like trying to make people feel bad so he could sell this book. And there's a little bit more to the situation, because there was someone from Ingram that posted something on Threads denying everything that, Paul was saying, and saying like, this didn't happen. We haven't been in contact with, these people for the past year. And so then the situation got even murkier. And then Paul and Matthew were like, you know what? Like, you're a liar. Girl from Ingram, whatever. It's just messy. Regardless, it's a pity marketing example that they used and they were disingenuous about, because it wasn't real. There was nothing to pity there at all. None of that actually happened. It was all made up. But then there's more, as there always is when it comes to Booktok drama. There's always more. But then rewind to about a year ago from now. So back in like June, I think, of 2024. I think it's always in June. He always seems to do this kind of stuff in June, right? I don't know. But he made a TikTok that went incredibly viral saying that his book was banned. So literally the video says like, my children's book was banned, and it's just in all caps. And the situation here was really that a small independent bookstore didn't want to carry Paul's book. So it probably was due to some crazy prejudice, or who knows what, why they didn't want to carry the book. We don't really know that. We can't really judge that, but it could have been because of bigotry. But the whole video was just Paul being like, our book was banned. This independent bookseller ordered thousands of copies of our book, and now they're saying we don't want them anymore, but we already have them on hand. look at all these boxes, so many boxes of books. We can't sell them anymore because a small bookstore won't buy them anymore. They backed out of the deal. Now, a lot of booksellers and a lot of people who are in the publishing sphere jumped in last year, made videos, and talked about how a small independent bookstore would never buy thousands of copies of a book. You might be lucky if they get like a few copies of your book, especially if you're an independent author. You could get a few in the book, but in the bookstore, but you're never going to get thousands. So that doesn't add up straight off the bat. And also there's a lot of people, independent authors, who said that like just calling up a bookstore and saying, hey, take my book, that's not what people do either. So it's a whole strange situation, and no one really knows the truth of what happened last year. His book was never banned. Using the word banned is disingenuous. It's clickbait. The title says my book was banned. No, your book was not banned. It's just one store somewhere in the world didn't want to carry it. Okay. It sucks that one store didn't want to carry your book, but no, your book was not banned. So not only that, but they never mentioned the name of the bookstore in question. Paul just mentioned that he worked with someone named Tanya, who owns a bookstore somewhere in Canada. So, of course, mob mentality, craziness online. A bunch of people go and find someone named Tanya who owns a bookstore in Canada, nearby the city, I guess, where all of this is supposed to be occurring. Her entire online presence was completely upended, and her whole personal life was upended. Her business was upended. She was so harassed online by this mob of people that came for her because of this viral video that was posted that was nothing about her. She had nothing to do with this situation. And it took Matthew and Paul like over a week, I believe, to actually stop the mob and to say, hey, this isn't the right person. Please stop attacking them. Either way, they should have said something way earlier, because people were in their comment section saying like, will you do something about this? Please, this woman named Tanya is getting ripped to shreds online. People are harassing her. People may dox her. Like, you never know what people are going to do online. People are crazy. But it took them a long time to say anything. So obviously, this may have not been their intention, was to send a mob after this woman. Obviously, I don't think they were intending to do that. However, if you're going to use a tactic like this and you're going to go viral like this, and you just happen to accidentally send a mob after somebody, the ball is in your court to protect others that may be caught in some sort of crossfire, right? So it's not, hey, I posted this video, now it's in the world, my hands are up. No, you are responsible for the content that you put out there. And if you're going to be using a disingenuous marketing campaign and tactic, you must make sure no one else is caught in that crossfire except for you, right? So this woman's business was basically wrecked. And Paul makes a video saying, hey, just so you know, you got the wrong Tanya. At this point, the damage has already been done, but I found comments from last year where Paul and Matthew put some comments in her comment section. It was just like 2 little clapping emojis or something. That's about it. So the thing that makes me really upset, because I think other than this, I mean, they're writing a cute book. It's nice enough. The book seems good. It has some good reviews. They're using very, very terrible marketing tactic to do so. And they actually, in the process of doing so, harmed someone else. And that's pretty uncalled for, in my opinion. So to wrap up this discussion about Paul and Matthew, I think that they wouldn't have a problem using normal, quote unquote, marketing tactics and not using pity marketing. If anything, it's brought them so much online backlash that they wouldn't have ordinarily encountered. They could have just been themselves and sell their book without, bringing up these like lies. It's just so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Just be yourself. Just stop it. No, I think that sometimes it's okay to use pity marketing. Now, let me explain. Now, this means that your tactic has to be honest. When it's 1,000% honest, it could be effective for you to use to get back on your feet. So let me just give some examples of this. Now, I also think that I wouldn't call this pity marketing. I would call it telling your followers who you really are. I would say it's called genuine marketing. I would say that you're putting yourself out there. You're being vulnerable. That is a type of marketing that every author should be doing. And when you're going through a really rough patch, sometimes you got to be honest about it and you got to tell your followers what's going on. Hey, I just had a crazy surgery. I'm, recovering from it. It just so happens to be my book is releasing in a month. This really freaking sucks. Don't buy my book if you don't want to, but hey, if you want to, buy my book. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that I would be appreciative if an author that I follow on social media brought me into their life in a way that they're comfortable with. Obviously, if they're not comfortable sharing this type of information online, then do not. But if you want to bring people into your life and share a little bit of yourself, being really genuine, being vulnerable can actually be a very, very good marketing tactic. And it doesn't have to be pity related. It could be like, hey, something really amazing happened in my life and I want to share it with you. And you can be involved in it too by reading my book, whatever it might be. I don't know. Online, there's a lot of instances where someone's like, oh yeah, no one came to my grandpa's book signing, or no one wants to buy their book or whatever. People usually using this tactic are white. You don't see anyone indigenous or any people of color making this particular tactic their thing. I found that interesting. We'll just leave that there. But yeah, and if your book was actually banned by the US government or a school district in the US, then you have every right or whatever to make a video saying, hey, my book was banned in X county of Florida. You can say something. That's not pity marketing. In a sense, I believe it's real marketing. It's genuine marketing. It's not fabricated, so it doesn't fall into that technically. So this is only when a real book is truthfully banned somewhere, and it hurts the author when this happens. Like, the author can lose revenue when a book is banned, and I think they have every right to post videos and talk about it because they were truly discriminated against. Like, this is what happened. This is what happened to my book. Please buy it if you want to support me because this really sucks. And people and supporters of that author want to know about it. So feel free to say, this is what's happening. Readers want to support. We want to be there to help. But I would say that renting out a bookstore for the day so you can make it look like your aunt didn't have anyone come to their book signing, or fabricating elaborate lies about how your book was banned when it really wasn't, or some distributor did something terrible to you. Oh my goodness. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that if you lie in order to sell something, it's not a good tactic. It's not a great long-term marketing strategy, and it will always come back to you. People are going to find out that you're lying, and even though you got that one or two, couple viral videos out of it, what does that do to your entire reputation in the future, or your entire writing career, your author career? Why even risk it? Don't do it.
Stop it. Get some help.
Now, there are lots of examples of this happening outside the publishing world and outside of Booktok. And there are businesses that use pity marketing and AI together, which is just a whole level of ridiculousness, if you ask me. What I think is really hilarious and awful is that there is a account on TikTok where these people show nothing but AI generated videos and cobbled together videos of old people, just a bunch of old people crying. They're all different though, a bunch of old men, and it's showing some little picky slippers, and it's saying no one wants to buy these slippers, and it's ridiculous because it's obviously fake, but people in the comments are just like, eating it up, and they've had to delete some videos and repost things because people will point it out and it will go viral in a bad way, and they've deleted those, and they keep posting all the time about these piggy slippers, and people just fall for it. And then one video even says that it gives money to the Stray Cow Foundation, and it's some sort of stray cow foundation, and I'm thinking, I don't know about you, but are cows just wandering around the streets aimlessly where you live? I mean, I live in Pittsburgh, and I don't remember the last time I saw a stray cow wandering the streets of Pittsburgh. And I grew up in a rural area north of the city, so I've never noticed that. And I didn't know there needed to be a whole foundation around it, so it's a fake foundation, like, come on. But, and then also the grandpa in every video is a different old man. It's just crazy. But people are falling for it, and people are buying these stupid slippers. It's insane. So it's only a matter of time before more companies become more and more intelligent about doing this. And it's going to be harder and harder to tell when someone's lying about this. And yes, and that's not book related, but I just thought it was kind of crazy. So if you're an author that's considering using a disingenuous tactic like pity marketing, I advise you to seriously reconsider, because it will absolutely tank your career at some point. It's a ticking time bomb. So it's going to feel like it's working for a bit, and you will get views and you will get clicks and likes and comments, and it will feel really good. But then you're going to lose all credibility at some point, and it's just not worth it. So I know it's hard out there marketing a book, but let your book speak for itself. Do genuine marketing. Be yourself. People want you. You might be like, me. Why do people want me? No one wants me. Yes, they do. They want you. They want you to be genuine, right? Be yourself. Let's see your dogs. Let's see your cats. Let's see your funny personality. What? You have a crazy hobby? Let's see it. Be yourself in your full capacity. You do not need to bring in pity into this. And if something bad is happening in your life, you can be genuine about it. As much as you want to share, you can share. But honestly, you need to act with integrity in everything that you do, and you'll be fine. So that's the video, everyone. I want to thank everybody for staying until the very end of this video, and I appreciate all of you. I'm a super new YouTube channel, and I'm going to be posting a video about book drama once a week. Please subscribe to me, and I would really, really appreciate it. And have an awesome day, and keep writing or keep reading or keep watching horror movies or whatever it is that you like to do. Keep doing what you love. Bye.